there, done that, had the mortgage. And in some ways, I realized that it does kind of trap you. That is something that will stick with me and that I'm very stubborn about. Why does your sister care how our bills are split? Everything I would do differently in a relationship now or in the future from what I learned. From what I learned from my heartbreak, what I learned in that relationship, out of that relationship, what boundaries I have that are different now, my standards are different. And I did a TikTok video on this and a lot of people resonated, women telling me like, oh my gosh, like same, or I would, you know, they then expanded what they would do differently. So I thought I'd make a full length YouTube video on this topic whilst I do my makeup to get ready for the day. I will show the products I'm using as I go along, but we're going for a full beat kind of face look today because why not? As Charlotte Tilbury puts it, smoky eye until I die. I love a smoky eye. I'm embarrassed to admit that I have probably had this palette for about 8 years. Disclaimer, these are things that I will do for myself. This isn't advice for other people of what I think you should be doing or what is best for you. This is for me, this is from my personal experience, what I've learned and why I will do things differently and how I will do them. I feel so pale, so I'm gonna get straight onto the base. I'm just gonna use this LA Pro Girl under the eyes and then my NARS Radiant Foundation. So what's like certifying me to say all these things? Obviously, my social media is an expression of me and my art and my feelings, thoughts, whatever, but I hope that it resonates with people. And for me, it was after being with someone for 10 years, I realized how much I gave to someone else. Even though I had a relationship that wasn't me living in his back pocket and having to be with him all the time, it still overall has taught me a lot. And one of the biggest things that stick with me, because I bought a house with my ex after about 9 years in our relationship, 8-9 years, I will be buying my own home. I will not be buying a house with a man. Like, period. Genuinely, that is bottom line. Won't be doing it again. Didn't think it was worth it. Could have bought my own home. Could be a homeowner right now had I not done that. That is something that will stick with me and that I'm very stubborn about. To kind of add to that, I will not cohabitate with a man unless he is my fiance or we're married. Genuinely, I know it. And I don't care if it saves money, if it means we get to spend more time together because we're gonna be in love. I still love love. I'm a lover girl and I'm not anti-men, even though some of the things I say may sound like, what? Like you don't wanna live with your partner, blah, blah, blah. I've been there, done that, was not worth it. Was not worth the effort, energy, and I just can't. I just know I can't. That's one of the biggest things. And yes, I have become more selfish because, like I said, I gave too much. Actually, I gave too much. And obviously we don't want to go too much on the other way. I don't want to be on the other side of the spectrum where I'm like, I refuse to share anything. Like, no, I just need to have those boundaries in place and know that that asset is for me. That asset is for me, generational wealth, my investment, my asset, and I don't need to share it, to be honest. And I think some of the reasons, sometimes, I'm not speaking for everyone, but sometimes the reason why we buy with a partner is because it's really, really difficult to buy alone. Or that we know we can get more for our money with a partner, right? Because we can get a 3-bed or we can get a house with a garden versus a house that has nothing. So I get it. And I also understand that sometimes moving in with a boyfriend seems reasonable because it's like, well, I'm moving in with someone I love. We get to like share the rent and save money and spend more time with each other. It sounds great, but actually I just don't buy into this anymore. I don't think it is what it seems half the time. I learned that lesson and that's the biggest one I'm gonna share from the get-go, is I will get my own house. I would do it on my own, 100% on my own this time. Again, these are all personal to me, but I just have to say that in case someone's like, well, I wanna buy a home with my partner. You do you, like genuinely, but I've been stung, I've learned, and I would not do that again. As I kind of mentioned, I don't want these things to come from a broken place. And I'm aware that maybe when I'm more healed, I might be more open to certain things. But I think the house is one where I'm like, no, sorry. If I'm gonna spend years getting a deposit, saving up, making sacrifices, doing all of that again, I'm not having something where you can take it away from me. With my ex, we had a cohabitation agreement and I still got screwed over. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it ever again. Because to be honest, it's still a risk, even as a married couple, or an engagement can still be called off. But that's the only kind of thing I can put in place that seems fair, where otherwise, I'm just never gonna live with my partner. Like, no, I'd like to live with my partner, someone that I love in the future. But I know the boundaries that I need in place to ensure that I'm happy and that I know I've learned my lesson and I'm not going to do it again. I could do it again and I could either have the same problem or worse, or it could go completely fine. But the fact is, I don't want to do it again. And that includes if the timeline ends up being longer for me and I'm in my mid-30s when I get my house, I honestly don't care as long as I did it for myself. I'm not trying to fast track things now. I've already owned a home, I've been there, done that, had the mortgage. And in some ways, I realise that it does kind of trap you. I'm not saying renting is way better or living at your parents is better or whatever. I'm just saying that the mortgage trap can feel real, because it's then like, well, I can't just up and leave my job, can I? I can't just go traveling because I have a mortgage to pay. And that's the reality of that aspect. And I've learned that, I've been there, I've done that, I felt that. And now it's just really helped me to reassess what I think and feel towards this situation. When I tell you my lesson was learned, that I was doing the most in terms of, I can't even remember, like at least 80-90% of the cooking. I was washing his clothes. I was doing so much for what? I was also paying 50% of the bills, 50% of the mortgage, things like that, where I'm like, I would do it differently now and I would not give that much to someone. I think it was the aspect that I'd been with him for so many years that that level of love was there and I was willing to do so much for him. But I just, no, I've learned to be more selfish. Like genuinely, I feel like I'm such a giving, empathetic person naturally, that what that means is some people take the piss, and I need to be more wary of that. I will not be doing that again. I will not be doing all the cooking. Why am I doing all the cooking? Because I'm a woman? I was learning his culture's dishes and I'm like, what? Actually, maybe you should learn this or we could learn it together. Why is it me as a woman? Just things where I'm like, this is so backwards. Now when I think about it, I'm like, that was silly and we won't be doing that again. The washing, the ironing, the washing up, the cooking and cleaning, because that's my job as a woman. Yeah, I'm still going out and working just like you are. And I'm still paying the bills just like you are. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to do all these extra things. No, doesn't fly with me anymore. Next up is communicate more effectively. I definitely think that was missing on my ex's part, just in general. That's why it was a blindsided breakup, because just there was no communication there. And from my side, I definitely feel like I want to communicate more about how I'm feeling, expressing those emotions and being more vulnerable. Obviously, I feel like you need a partner that allows you to also do that, but there's a discomfort that comes with it, and something I've learned through therapy is that I need to put myself through that discomfort to explain my perspective, share what I'm feeling and my emotions, and expressing those is really important. So that's something I'll definitely be doing differently, and ensuring that that is a consistent thing that happens in my relationship, because communication truly is key. And that's something I'll definitely take into my next relationship is, let's communicate, let's see where we're at, let's assess our relationship rather than just going through it kind of almost blindly. Let's really assess what's working, what's not working, what do we need more of, what are each other's needs, and letting third parties get involved in my relationship. Like, who are you? And sorry, do you want to be in this relationship? Like, I don't understand. Why does your sister care how our bills are split? I think firstly, I'll definitely be communicating to my next partner that, hey, there's things we won't discuss with third parties, and let's agree what those will be. And then also, there will be things where you may have to stand up to your family or whoever's getting involved and just remind them that this is a relationship between you and I, and not your mum, your dad, your sister, and everyone else that wants to get involved. Because why? I can't understand why. I guess deep down it's like they have your best intentions, perhaps. And I realise now actually the reason they wanted to know all these extra details was to just further criticise me as to why I'm not good enough. It's like actually mad when you look at the bigger picture once you're out of it and you're like, ah, that makes sense. The more they know, the more they're able to criticize and judge. Honestly, it says more about those people getting involved and what they think and what you should be doing and why you should be doing this and that. Next up is long distance. Now, don't get me wrong, I've not had a relationship where we've been countries apart, but sometimes even if you're an hour away, 2 hours away, I think there's a cap I'm gonna have to put and just stick with that, because I'm not doing the driving to yours every weekend and like you live miles away in the middle of nowhere, or like just no, not doing it. I don't really find it worth it. And I think that's where dating comes in handy, because I didn't really get to date because I was 18 when I got into that relationship, and it really was, I like you, you like me, let's get together and let's see how long it lasts, basically. Whereas now as a single 30-year-old woman practically. I know I'm just rounding up at this point because I am 30. I just feel it, it's done. I can ask people, what are you into? What are we compatible about? What's your hobbies? What are your values, your thoughts on all these things? What's your attachment style? Tell me more. So another thing that I would do that is really easy actually is I will not be staying in a 10-year relationship. Now the reason I did, I thought it was finally going towards engagement around year 10 or whatever, but also, like I said, we started at a young age, 18 to 28, and I was not actually wanting to get married at 25. In my head, I would have wanted to get married at 25 when I was 20 and thought that was like feasible and the right age and everything. It wasn't, and it isn't for me. So whilst I agree that 10 years is a very long time to be someone's girlfriend, especially if you do actually intend on getting married, at the same time, I wouldn't have wanted to get married at any point in my 20s. So the timeline is still fine because I'm leaving now in my 20s, I'm 29, I have a couple of months left until I'm 30, and it's fine because I know I wouldn't have been married at this point anyway, but I will not be someone's girlfriend for another 10 years, age 30 going into my 30s. Like, are you mad? No, because I would now want to get married in my 30s. So yeah, I feel like that finalizes the things I will be doing differently in my next relationship, the big things I'll be doing differently. Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned to watch this video that will be specific to you. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then this is one of my most recent uploads that you can watch. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Bye.